So, what's on your mind, Jim?
I'm having the same nightmare over and over again, every night. And each time, it adds an extra piece to the jigsaw. Makes it clearer, sharper.
Every night for the past 6 months?
Every night? For the past 6 months?
Ah, but now you see the full picture.
But now I see the full picture. I'm running, being chased.
Through the woods.
And then I fall. I hit my head.
You look up, he stands over you.
Black cloak.
Skeletal features.
He moves closer to me. The air's ice cold.
Reaches out a bony finger.
Jimmy, he says.
Jimmy Wilde, he says.
Today you will die.
Now, what he should have said was, Jimmy Wilde, I've come to take you from this earth because you're sucking the life out of every poor soul who meets you, you boring bastard.
What?
Come on, Jim, don't you realise how tedious this whole thing is?
Tedious? Tedious? This is my nightmare.
And you're mine. Don't you see it, Jim? You bore the shit right out of me.
Well, there's no need to be nasty, Dr. Mason.
Jim, once a week you come here and tell me the same story over and over again. Do you realise I had to cancel a round of golf? And believe me, Jimmy, I need all the practice I can get. But instead I've had to sit and listen to your tale about your own grisly demise. I'm going to need therapy, Jim. I'm going to have to make an appointment with myself.
Well, sorry for that.
I'm a doctor, Jim. I like to help people. But there's just no helping you. 10 years you've been coming to see me now. 10 years with the same problem. I liked you when your father first brought you in. I thought you were a nice kid. Now all I can see is an attention seeker with a death fixation. Do you know, Jim, I've got a dozen patients with worse cases of insomnia than you could ever imagine. And I'm seriously thinking about prescribing them all an hour with you. Go home, Jim. You're still young. Live a little. Dance. You know what makes you happy? Just stop wasting your time and your money spinning me yarns. I hate yarns. Don't make me hate you, Jimmy. Don't make me hate you.
Well, same time next Tuesday.
The beaches round here have deteriorated at such a rate over the past 10 years that I think their very future is in doubt.
So, what factors do you think have conspired to bring about the degeneration of this resort?
Well, it's global warming, isn't it?
What's global warming got to do with an empty beach?
People have become obsessed with their carbon footprint, so they're leaving their cars at home and taking the train. You with me?
Not really, no.
It doesn't take a genius to work out that given the exorbitant cost of public transport, it's keeping people away from remote areas like this. They don't use their car and They can't afford the train at QED.
So they're not just jetting off on cheap package holidays then, no?
No, not at all. Look, basically, people are staying at home more instead of coming down to a wonderful place like this and seeing what a beach has to offer.
What exactly is that?
Sand. British sand. That's the best in the world, that is.
You're an idiot, aren't you?
Excuse me.
Pack up, Nick. Another waste of time.
Oh, I get it. Our story's too trivial for your viewers, is it? How are we to get our plight known of if even the local media won't give us our say?
No, you see, the problem with this story, my friend, is that it bores the shit out of me. Nobody cares about your empty beach, or your twisted logic about why it's empty. It's wasting film and time. Oh, and my life.
Well, fuck you!
Likewise.
Tit!
Can't believe the Mayor of Bristol called you a tit.
I just can't take this anymore, do you know? It's the same crap day after day. I need a change.
What we need is a bloody good war, Brian. Some mad foreign invaders taking over our city, and us stuck right in the middle. Bullets flying past our heads, mortar shells blowing debris high into the sky, as we bravely report the facts to the world. I'd even take a bullet for a story like that.
I was thinking more along the lines of local MP screws hooker.
It's your problem, mate. You don't see the full picture. There are so many platforms for consuming news these days that the possibilities are endless.
God, you've been reading the trade mags again, haven't you?
I like to have my finger on the pulse of society, mate. Keeps me ahead of the game, on the cutting edge.
Right, what riveting delight have we got next?
Audrey Douglas of Griswell Close. At 43 steak and kidney pies in 3 minutes. Wow, what a ripper!
Oh, for God's sake.
Nothing better than a world record breaking pie eater, Brian. Come on, let's go! Oh, come on, mate. This is what reporting is all about. Real people, real stories.
Real boring, you mean?
Viewers are fed up with all the phony stuff around these days. Everything's CGI and green screen now, mate. You can't even drive a car on TV anymore without green screen faking it.
Oh, shut up.
We could always make stories up.
Wouldn't be very moral though, would it?
Fun, though. We could kill a few people, make it look like a serial killing spree, and be first on the scene for the scoop, mate.
You are a sick man sometimes, do you know that? In fact, most of the time.
Think about it, Brian. We could dispose of a few homeless people. Nobody cares for the invisible men and women on the streets. In fact, it took that poor bloke who stands on the corner of Church Street over 8 hours to sell half a dozen big issues last Saturday. I watched him.
You watched him for all that time?
Oh, yeah. From the pub.
I just want to do quality journalism. You know, is that too much to ask? Something of a bit higher calibre than the world pie eating record.
We'll get there, mate. We just need our big break, that's all. Break!
What the hell are you doing?
Never waste the opportunity to get some good footage, mate. It's what my old man always used to say.
Your old man was a butcher?
Yeah, I always thought that was a bit strange.
For God's sake, show some respect! Mate?
Struck me pink, is he dead?
Oh God, yes he is!
Maybe we could go with that serial killer story after all. Would you like to say a few words?
The name of the deceased was James Wilde. But you already knew that, didn't you, Mr. Somerset?
Only when I checked his wallet for ID after the accident.
You're very insistent it was an accident, aren't you?
Because that's what it was.
And you'd never heard of Mr. Wilde before today?
No, are all these questions really necessary?
How about this Frank character? Mr. Wilde mentioned him. You ever heard of him?
No, look, I've explained. I was driving to a job with my cameraman. This guy runs out into the road, just feet in front of the car. I hit him. I couldn't have avoided him. I got out, tried to help him as best I could, but there was nothing I could do. He mumbles Frank just before he dies. Now that is all I know. I've never heard of either of them.
You've never heard of Frank?
No.
There's a lot of Franks in this city. I made a list of every Frank in this city. So how can you be sure the one Mr. Wilde is talking about isn't one you know? Something else. Been doing a bit of background checking. And guess what we found? You've got a nephew. His name's Frank.
Is this one of those hidden camera shows? Because I really hope it is.
Is it possible, Mr. Somerset, that James Wilde, before he died, was talking about a member of your family?
No, of course not. Jimmy, Frank, I've never heard of either of them. This is madness.
Oh, I've upset you. Oh, I'm sorry. But, you see, this is just something we as police officers have to do. It's called, no, watch my lips, lines of inquiry. You're being very helpful.
It's after 9, Detective Inspector. I've been here hours.
Says here, you're a reporter, Brian. So, what type of reporting do you do?
I'm a broadcast journalist. I work for GTV, the local cable television station.
I haven't got cable. Terrestrial man myself. It's like E.T. E.T. I don't even have Freeview. It's a bit too futuristic for me. You could say I'm old school.
I could say, don't you have a problem watching television?
Ah, you'd be talking about the digital switchover then. Thought they'd catch me out. I was ready. I made plans.
Fascinating.
See, a few years ago, I bought 5 VHS video recorders. I've had them running constantly, taping all the channels, terrestrial, day and night, ever since. So by my calculations, I've got 25 years of TV to catch up on. Now it's a moot point really, because analog's going to make a comeback, as far as I can see. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, no, hang on. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on. Right. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Bye. Seems another problem's fallen into my lap. The ambulance transporting Mr. Wilde's body has been run off the road. And the body's been stolen. Now, who do you think would want to do that?
Well, it clearly wasn't me.
Oh, indeed. You've been here all day. Now, you see, that's what I call a good alibi.
Maybe it was Frank.
I might want a word with your nephew.
What?
Just my little joke.
Has got to be the strangest man I've ever met in my entire life.
Didn't mention terrestrial telly, did he, by any chance?
I don't know, mate. I think I fell asleep at one point. But he reckons my granddad had something to do with Jimmy Wilde's death.
Frank?
Yeah. You know my granddad?
No, but I do know a Frank.
What'd you make of Wilde's body going missing?
I don't know, mate. Weird. There is something really strange about all this.
Yeah, no shit. This could be the big break we're after, mate. This could be our big story.
Well, I'm intrigued, yeah, but...
I don't see this as a 5-minute throwaway story, mate. I see this more as a full-on 1-hour award-winning piece. In fact, I'm that confident, I may order myself a new suit from Savile Row.
Why do you think we were held for so long? I mean, we've been in there over 24 hours. That is not proper procedure after a road accident, even a fatal one.
This Jimmy Wilde has a story to be told. Why don't we start digging around a bit?
Oh, where would we start?
At the beginning's always a good place to start.
Yeah, the beginning for us, or Jimmy.
Us! It's the only thing we've got for now.
That means back to the accident, and I could live without that.
You got any better ideas?
Oh, I don't know. I can't think about it now anyway. We'd have to run it past the station when we get in the morning.
This is bigger than the station, mate. I could see this going worldwide. I don't know about you, but I think I should play myself in the film. I could see Angelina Jolie playing your part.
But Angelina Jolie is a woman.
No offence, mate, but I'd shag Angelina Jolie. I wouldn't even have a pint with you.
So this is where our incredible story begins. Now, we don't know an awful lot about Jimmy Wilde, but what we do know is that this is the exact spot where his dramatic life came to an end.
It's further back.
Hey?
It's further back, mate.
Oh, does it matter?
Well, if we're going to do a documentary about the life and death of a man, I think the least we can do is get the spot right where he snuffed it.
I don't really want to stand on that spot again. It's eerie.
I thought you were a professional. That's it, mate. Stop right there.
How do you know?
Because there's blood on the road, mate. Only kidding.
Pillock. Happy now. And 3, 2... So this is where our incredible story begins.
So what do you reckon he was running out here in the middle of nowhere?
Or what was he running from?
Wolves?
I doubt it somehow.
I tell you, I'm shaking, mate. I'm shaking like a dunny door in a cyclone.
But I tell you something, he came out of these woods like a man possessed. He looked petrified.
Not as petrified as when a Clio smashed into him and sent him sprawling to his death.
Oi! This is private land.
I'm sorry, do you own this land?
Yes, I do. And I'm asking... No, I'm telling you to get off it. And turn that bloody thing off.
There was an accident here yesterday. A man died. Did you know him?
He didn't die here. He died on the main road, and I'll thank you to remember that.
Fair enough, but did you know him?
Who the hell are you two, anyway?
We're making a documentary about this bloke's life.
A documentary about Jimmy Wilde. Why the bloody hell would you want to do that?
Oh, so you do know him? Well, we think there's more to his death than meets the eye.
I was Jimmy Wilde's psychiatrist. I'd been treating him for many years. He was a borderline manic depressive, but his real problem was a morbid death fixation. He used to have terrible visions of his own death, and would swear blind he was being chased by a black cloaked figure.
You mean like the Scottish widow woman?
No, a bit more threatening than that.
Well, she scared the shit out of me, mate.
He was on prodigious amounts of medication just to calm him down. I'd swear the man positively battled when he walked.
And the day he died, He'd been to see you, hadn't he?
Hmm.
Did he seem different?
He was at a very low point. I think it's fair to say his life didn't turn out as he'd hoped.
What did he aspire to do?
Dance.
Dance?
Yes, the mambo of all things. He was never happier than when doing the flashy Cuban flutter. He would whirl and spin like a man floating on a wave of pure ecstasy. You can say what you like about it, but hey, the boy could move.
He was 6'4". He didn't look like a dancer.
Didn't even look like he was breathing last time we saw him.
I think Jimmy spent most of his days at home, listening to vinyl recordings of Tito's Puente Rodriguez. Brought them to a session once, actually. They weren't half bad. Anyway, he was obsessed with Latin dance. Said they gave him freedom.
So why couldn't he fulfill his potential then?
Well, he joined a local dance school, but soon began to rub off on other members of his class who became bored and depressed, and, well, membership began to dwindle. I gather he was asked to leave in order to save the school.
It's a sad story.
Hey, the world's full of them. I could tell you a million.
Jimmy Wilde was one of the greatest flyweights of his time. His record was 137 wins with 99 knockouts, which made him one of the most prolific knockout winners of all time. He was known as the Mighty Atom and the Tireless Town Terror. The guy was a genius. A dancer. Listen, Jimmy Wilde was a boxer, not a fag.
My school is one of the best, if not the best, in the country. People come from all over just to learn the most difficult styles. Latin American. The mambo's in right now. Hot and sexy, just like in the 50s. I love the 50s. Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, I love all that. Jimmy had the potential to be the best, but he let other things get in the way of his rhythmic vibe. One minute he'd be on the floor with all the presence of a matador, and then he'd just withdraw into himself. It's terrible to watch, awful. He became hollow, that's the only word for it, hollow. Like a shell of the man that he used to be. He used to go on about these recurring nightmares. He'd just ramble and ramble and ramble about these nightmares. How he wasn't long for this world. It was awful. It was destroying the positive aura that I like when I'm teaching. In the end, I had to ask him to leave. It's a shame, really. Wasn't it, Cujo? Yeah. He used to come a lot, Jimmy.
Here he is, large as life. You're late.
I've had a few problems.
I don't trust you, Wilde. You make me edgy.
What? Business deal like this has got to be based on trust. If you can't trust me by now, then what's the point? Look, I knew this fella once. Thought his wife was playing around, this window cleaner. So he started following her around. Do you know what he found out?
She wasn't playing around?
No, she was shagging him all the time.
So, what, you killed them both in a crime of passion?
Nah, they ended up getting a divorce. She got the kids, he went to his ma's. But he's got a nice place now, though.
Oh, what was the point of that?
Well, I thought it was pretty obvious, but not to you.
Oh, give me the bag! Are you trying to fleece me?
No, that's exactly what you wanted.
Anal intentions too.
Yeah.
I said, get me the 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink Christmas box set. And anal intentions too.
When you said 2, I thought you meant 2.
My clients haven't seen the original. What are they going to do with this?
But it's not exactly like the plot development means anything in these films, is it?
It's the last time I use you, Wilde. You finished.
No, you can't do that. Your reputation means everything.
Don't expect payments either.
You can't do it. Like, well, give me them back then.
I think I could have been a dancer. I've got rhythm in me blood.
Really? And what would have been your speciality?
Oh, disco, mate.
On which side of the family did you inherit that talent from?
My dad, obviously. He used to soft shoe shuffle his way around the streets of Brisbane back in the 50s.
I'm not wrong, am I? He was a butcher, your dad.
Oh, that was all the rage back then, mate. America had the singing barbershop quartet. In Australia, we had the butchering hoofers.
Sometimes I have difficulty believing anything you tell me.
That hurts me, mate.
Hello? Yeah, speaking. Really? What? Yeah, okay. Well, what's wrong with the station? Okay. See you in an hour. That was D.I. Davenport. He wants to meet us in an hour. A private matter, apparently. Oh yeah. And Jimmy Wilde was murdered last night.
See, I told you this was big. We in the right spot, mate?
How would you know?
What's that?
Is that him? What the hell's the matter with you?
You had an accident, mate.
I've been skiving off work until yesterday, and then Wilde made a reappearance. I've been called back in to head up the inquiry. These just make my story a bit more convincing. Anyway, I hear you've been snooping around in the Wilde case. It's not very advisable for a man in your position, is it, Mr. Somerset?
For your information, we intend to make a documentary on Jimmy Wilde, because we think there's something strange going on. And I'd say last night's events kind of confirm our suspicions.
So did you speak to Dr. Mason?
Yeah, he was very helpful.
Little bastard.
What is all this about?
Jimmy Wilde has been the bane of my life for over 10 years. Do you know how much money it costs to set up a murder inquiry? How much manpower it requires? Not to mention, you know those cool little mobile stations that we set up? Anyway, Jimmy Wilde was apparently mugged last night and stabbed, dead. Mugging. My ass.
Never mind what happened last night. This means that he wasn't dead after we had our accident with him.
It would seem not.
The paramedics at the scene said he was a goner.
There's a lot of unanswered questions here. And I've got to admit, I haven't exactly been straight with you both.
We know the police aren't usually quick to help the press.
They're all bastards.
I've been a copper for 15 years, and nobody likes me because of it. My only other friends are coppers, and they're not exactly the most entertaining people in the world. See, I like to be more sociable and outgoing. But the job strips that away from you, leaves you empty inside. I drink a lot at night, so I can forget how unhappy my life is. So don't tell me about coppers being bastards, because I fucking am one!
You need to calm yourself down.
Over the past 9 years, James Wilde of 81 Manor Farm Road has been involved in 4 murders, 11 accidental deaths, and 1 suicide. And each time, he got up and he walked away.
How?
That's the mystery.
When you say got up and walked away,
his body's been stolen from various places. Morgues, cemeteries, ambulances.
Well, you know where this joker lives. Why don't you just get round to his house and arrest him?
Don't you think we tried that already? I had a dozen armed officers surrounding a house he was renting a couple of months back. Came out, brandishing a gun. So we shot him. Dead. It was full post-mortem. Not to mention a police complaint inquiry. But we buried him 3 days later in Lombard Cemetery. Unfortunately, he didn't stay there overnight. Body disappeared. And we don't know where he's been living. Or dying. Ever since.
It's a scam, isn't it? And someone's helping him to do this.
Well, duh. It's a little bit difficult to, you know, ram an ambulance off the road when you're supposed to be lying dead inside the bloody thing.
Crikey. If this bloke is returning from the dead, anything's possible.
What do you want from us?
What makes you think I want something from you?
Well, we could have had this little get-together in the comfort of your office, but this clandestine meeting kind of makes me think you don't want others to know.
Don't try and be clever with me, Somerset.
I'm not trying to be clever with you. I'm trying to get the ball rolling. Now, if you want us to help, tell us how.
Nobody's saying a word about Jimmy Wilde. I've spoken to your doctor friend, but all he keeps giving me is the old doctor-patient confidentiality bullshit. But as soon as you pair stick a camera in his face, he can't wait to talk.
Everybody wants to be famous nowadays. Cameras make some people comfortable. Kind of like a confessional.
Well, that got me thinking. You make your documentary embargoed for now. And I'll give you all the help I can. Names of people Jimmy knew in the past. You track him down. See what you know. We'll talk to you.
And why would you help us?
Because you'd be helping me. I'll probably get more info on Jimmy Wilde this way.
Yeah, but what would this achieve? You don't seem to be able to get your hands on Jimmy.
It'd flush him out. People would be aware of who he is and what he does. It might stop him doing it again. I don't mind him hurting himself. But one day he's going to be unlucky. Take someone with him. That I will not stand for. Thing is, so far, his only crime has been wasting police time. I do have one condition.
I thought you might.
I want to be in it. I've always loved those murder documentaries. You know, the ones where the investigating officer gets to talk about what he does.
But you haven't actually done anything of note.
Got a great imagination.
Some of this stuff is great. Information about friends of Jimmy's, people he's worked with. You know, if we can get to talk to even some of these people, it's really going to help flesh out the story.
That's if we can find any of them.
Think positively, will you? This is what being a reporter's all about. Putting the pieces of the story together, getting out there on the street, doing the legwork.
Do you know what I think's behind all this?
No, but I don't think I can stop you from telling me, can I?
Haitian voodoo.
Voodoo?
That makes sense.
Strangest things make sense in your head, Nick.
You ever heard of Zora Neale Hurston?
No.
She was a famous writer during the Harlem Renaissance.
The birth of African American literature wouldn't exactly be my specialist subject, that.
She was researching the folklore of Haiti in 1937 when she came across the case of Felicia Felix Mentor, who had died and been buried in 1907. Villagers swore they saw Felicia wandering the roads in a catatonic state 30 years after her death.
Well, Jimmy was hardly catatonic, was he? He was doing the friggin' mambo.
It's widely believed that Haitian landowners used the undead as slave labour on their plantations.
So you're saying Jimmy Wilde is a zombie?
Nah, Brian, don't be ridiculous. What I'm saying is, he may have been revived by a sorcerer.
Oh, right.
I never said he was dead. He may have just been in a quasi-hysterical state, which later on can be misinterpreted as a return from the dead.
Meaning?
He was never dead to begin with.
Okay, well, explain this to me then if you can. How can a man not be dead after he's been shot 14 times, stabbed 12, poisoned, hit by a car, hung from a tree, and now this is the clincher for me, decapitated?
The voodoo I'm talking about, it's over 100 years old. Things can develop throughout the years.
That is some evolution. He'd been decapitated, he'd had his bloody head cut off.
That's why you'll never understand the supernatural, Brian. Your mind is so close to the things you have no wish to understand. You need to step out of reality sometimes and see what the real issues are.
Nick, he had no head.
I don't really think people understand the incredible power of the black arts. I see voodoo as a dream. As we all know, anything can happen in dreams.
Decapitation.
What about it?
Well, could a man come back to life if he'd been decapitated?
Of course. In 1875, a man called Quanjul came back to life after being beheaded for stealing a horse.
And what if the head was, say, missing?
Voodoo's come to be associated in the popular mind with the law of...
You've set all this up, haven't you?
Well, sort of.
We're making a documentary. Do you understand the concept? We can't just make stuff up.
It'll be fine, Brian. Nobody'll know.
Are not part of the voodoo religion as
Oh,
such.
shut up, love.
I first met Jimmy about 3 years ago at Hoffman's dance class. He was wild by name and nature. He was majestic. It took a lot of courage for me to ask him out on a date. So we went out a couple of times and then he stopped calling me. I was really angry until I realised that he was dead. It's just my luck with men.
Jimmy wanted to start his own dance class. Apparently he was quite proficient in that field now. I don't know nothing about dancing myself. But apart from that time, a brief spell in Butlins as a red coat and spandex does feel quite nice against your skin. So I lent him some money with a rather healthy repayment schedule, we'll say. He's an old friend. You've got to help people out, haven't you? Now, unfortunately for Jim, he violated them repayment schedules. So measures have to be taken against him. I mean, you know, I'm not in this for a laugh, lads. What would you do if it was your money?
Did you hurt Jimmy?
Did I hurt him? Look, all I'll say to you is that a couple of the lads went round to have a bit of a chat, we'll say. So, you know, I do have a reputation to uphold, you know, lads. Jimmy knew that. Everyone knows that. Alright, lads, look. We'll just say he met with a rather nasty... He was killed, okay? I wouldn't exactly go as far as to say they were a pair of concrete boots, but... yeah, they were actually a pair of concrete boots.
Me and Jim go way back. Sure, he's got his bad points, but who hasn't? Can be a valuable friend.
So you work together?
Well, we had this idea, name for a sunbed shop. Browned off. Pun was the best part, but Jim couldn't get a share of the cash together and we lost touch since then. I haven't seen him for ages, months. Certainly not over the last few days. Hey, if anyone said anything to you that's different to that, the line, I swear.
Yeah, but then with this time, I chased these four-armed thieves. What it was, I was just passing by the off licence. I happened to look in. I wasn't going in there for any reason in particular. And they were holding the place up. They grabbed the girl from behind the counter and they run out with her. Got in a car, off they went. So I gave chase, on foot. They went for miles, and I tell you, they didn't expect me to follow them that far. So there it was, caught up with them. They didn't expect a thing. If it wasn't for my unarmed combat training, I wouldn't be here today. Trained killer, you know, trained killer. So, what else can you do? But the girl you save, you know, take it to bed. 3 days later, we emerged, bit worse for wear. What are you going to do? But have I told you about the time, the bank robbery? Do you want to know about the bank robbery? That was amazing as well. You see, there was these 8 guys this time.
You turn up every day, eventually, dressed for a South American carnival and with an attitude to match, and you, well, this is all a bit beneath you, isn't it? You should really be interviewing the PM or presenting flagship current affairs, but the call just never came. Funny that. Now face it, you work for the women's magazine of television news. Your collective attitude stinks. But you have really surpassed yourselves this time.
About the documentary. It was early days, and if anything had come of it, we would have offered you first refusal.
Oh, am I supposed to be grateful? I employ you! I wouldn't expect anything less. Look, you're not a couple of maverick freelancers. Although that could easily be arranged. And as for the equipment...
Well, I knew nothing about that. No, I suppose that's not fair, really. I mean, I didn't ask any questions, and I was as keen as Nick to pursue the story.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's good of you to say that, but I can't let you take the rap for this. The whole documentary idea was mine from the start.
Yeah, No, please. Spare me the brothers in arms routine. It is nauseating. And so obviously false. You do realise that you have committed 2 sackable offences. This documentary, then. You clearly think it's worth sneaking around for, stealing station equipment. So come on, pitch it to me. It might just save your necks.
There's nothing to tell, really, is there? I mean, at the end of the day, we drew a blank, and I think our initial enthusiasm was probably misplaced.
Don't be coy, Brian. It's about a bloke called Jimmy Wilde. You could say we ran into him the other day.
Teresa, could you come in here for a moment? Thank you.
Hold on, Brian.
I can't believe it. I've never been sacked from any job. Not even the paper round. I blame you for this. You knew it was against the rules to go filming something solo, but you still had to go running off at the mouth about it. I'm not satisfied with that. You go and tell anyone who listens what it's all about, like it's something to be proud of. Oh, it's about this guy who keeps coming back from the dead, and on one occasion he was put in his grave by Brian. Sacked. It's a wonder she didn't have us sectioned.
Now hang on, this isn't all down on me. You haven't exactly covered yourself in glory lately. Trading insults with the Mayor of Bridgeton didn't exactly help our cause, and then there was that pensioner that didn't like you. The story of a 70-year-old prostitute, and you had to go and end the report by calling her an on-the-game old bird.
Newsflash, the whole I can't afford my council tax thing was a front. She was just a common tart. She even offered me her services before we left.
Then I think she definitely needed the money. Come on, mate, something will turn up for us.
What do you mean, us? Who do you think we are, Woodward and Bernstein? We don't come as a package, you know. We're not exactly renowned for anything either. Except for being a pair of tits now, thanks to you.
How do you think I feel? I haven't got a brass razoo without that job. But we've still got Jimmy's story to tell. People will be beating a path to our door with offers once we finished our documentary.
Telling Jimmy's story scares me on many levels, so it's not something I'll be clinging to for comfort.
You're the one telling me to think positively the other day. So come on, mate, take some of your own advice.
Do you know something? The only positive I can think of right now is that we no longer have to make small talk with Angela on reception and be repulsed by her coffee-stained teeth and greasy hair.
I actually quite fancied her. Hold on, Brian. Action, Brian!
Well, it's a strange one, that, because I've just been down to Jimmy Wilde's house and knocked on the door. There was no answer. So I had a peek through the letterbox, and there's no coats hanging up, no carpet.
You won't find anyone talking about the Wild Boy around here.
And why's that, Mr...?
Jack Metcalf. I lived here a few years ago. Got out when the going was good. People around here, reluctant to talk about the past.
I can understand that, but can you at least tell me, does Jimmy still live around here?
Not for about 6 months. I think his father died and he moved away, much to the joy of the community.
Is there anything at all you can tell us?
I'm not a stupid man. I know it to keep my mouth shut. I'd love to help, but fear is a terrible thing.
Voodoo?
Voodoo?
Are there any supernatural elements at work here?
Is there something wrong with you?
It's a simple enough question, mate.
The whole world is full of supernatural elements. I'll tell you one thing that might help you.
And what's that?
Jimmy used to feed the ducks every day without fail. Said it cleared his mind.
And do you think it's likely that he still does?
It's a force of habit with Jimmy, unless he's otherwise engaged.
How do you mean otherwise engaged?
Dead.
Are we the only two sane people in this town?
You speak for yourself, Brian.
Where'd he go?
Voodoo, mate.
No. He's hiding behind that car. Okay, Heidi, can you just tell me exactly what happened when you were transporting Jimmy Wilde's body to the mortuary?
Okay. Well, it was a lovely day, and I wasn't in much of a hurry. I wanted to beat the rush hour traffic, so I took a shortcut through the Pipton estate. That's when this car ran me from the side. I lost control of the wheel. That's when I must have hit the curb and I flipped over. The last thing I remember was banging my head, because when I come round, it was after 6 and the doors to the vehicle were just wide open and poor Mr. Wilde's body had gone. My purse, the radio and 2 tyres had been stolen from the vehicle. Probably the kids off the estate. Well, it couldn't have been Mr. Wilde, could it?
The worst part of my job is exhumation. I mean, digging a grave is an art. And then you have to sit back and watch while a JCB, a bloody machine, comes in and desecrates your work. I mean, the thing is, I don't just see my job as digging a hole. I provide a relocation service for those who need it most. I mean, my graves are they're like little houses for folk. So I see exhumation as just the lowest form of burglary. Is that it then?
Well, thanks a lot, mate. I read somewhere once that waiting is 75% of a reporter's job.
That little?
I believe it's not what you wait for, it's how you wait. Got to be in the right frame of mind, mate. I look on stakeouts like they do in the movies. An exciting business where you never actually know what's around the corner. You could be sitting for days deprived of sleep, food, water, then bang, the action hits you like a sledgehammer to the temple. Got to be ready, mate. Got to be primed.
You seem to know a lot about the art of the stakeout.
I know a lot about a lot of things, Brian.
Go on then. When were you involved in a stakeout?
Oh, many times. I was in Romania in 2001 making a documentary about Transylvanian trannies.
Transvestites in Transylvania?
No, mate, trannies. Trannies! Transistor radios, mate. What the hell did you take me for? Some kind of sick perv? No, we were in Cluj-Napoca, tracing back the history of the first transistor radio. A bloke named Matthias Borza had a 1951 Regency TR1 in full working order. An amazing piece of kit, mate. We spent nearly 3 hours in a parked car waiting for the bastard to come back from the shops.
Hardly the life-threatening stakeout you alluded to.
Ah, you never know, mate. That's the buzz of the whole thing. 1 minute I'm waiting for some foreign bloke with a radio. Next minute, I could end up in a damp Romanian castle with a black-cloaked guy biting chunks out of me neck.
Oh, you tire me sometimes. Oh my God.
What?
What's with those?
It's a fireman big park, mate. Jimmy Wilde could be anywhere. Besides, Binocs are just another part of the stakeout tools.
You don't need them.
The range is incredible, mate.
No, I'm telling you, you don't need them.
Why the hell not?
Because Jimmy's walking right towards the car.
Quick, kiss me, Brian.
Fuck off.
Oh! Crikey, that was close.
What is wrong with you? There was absolutely no need for any of that. He doesn't even know who we are.
He might know we're following him.
But we're not. We're waiting in a public space with nothing to draw attention to us whatsoever. The last time he saw us, we were hurtling towards him at 40 miles per hour. I don't think he remembers, but we'll stick in his mind now, won't we? As a couple of doggers.
Well, not me, mate. He didn't see my face. Only saw the top of me head.
That's the only identifier he needs in your case.
Looks like I'm gonna have to do the interview, Brian.
No.
After what he just saw, you wouldn't get within 50 yards of him.
Oh, you can't do the interview. It requires subtlety for a start, and besides, what am I gonna do?
Camera's in the boot, fully charged. Follow me and film as best you can. We'll add the interview I get to the pictures you get later. It'll be beaut, mate. Award-winning stuff.
That's right. I'm only the reporter.
Excuse me, mate. Are you, Now hold on a second, it'll come back to me. Are you Jimmy? Jimmy Wilde?
Yeah.
Struth, I haven't seen you in, what is it, 3 years now?
Do I know you?
Well, we were never really that close, but I was in Brendan Hoffman's dance class with you.
I don't remember you.
Well, I wasn't really that good and I left after a while. I'm Clint Serpico.
Cool name.
Well, you know, my parents were film buffs and... So what have you been up to, Jim?
Not much really, this and that.
You still dance?
Not as much as I used to. Don't seem to get the time. I like to be active at the moment.
Crikey. I thought you would have been on the stage by now. From what I remember, you had more moves than Baryshnikov.
Baryshnikov was the greatest dance I've ever seen. It's Siegfried in Swan Lake. It was a masterclass. He had technical brilliance, as well as emotional detachment.
You know what? I think it's fate me meeting you here today.
Why is that?
Because I run a dance magazine called Best Foot Forward.
Dance magazine?
Oh yeah, we do articles on all forms of dance. Ballet, contemporary, jive.
Mambo?
Oh yeah, I just love the Cuban style.
Well actually, Mambo originates in Haiti. The word means voodoo priestess.
Mambo means voodoo, eh?
God, I bet he mentions voodoo or something equally idiotic. Look at me. 3 years of journalism training and sitting here operating the camera for this tit. Where's the focus?
Maybe you could, do a piece for us on the Mambo style. You seem to know your stuff.
Like an interview?
Oh yeah, I'm sure our viewers would love to hear the input of a true unsung great.
I thought you said it was a magazine. Do you mean viewers?
It's an online magazine. Print-based publications are on their knees at the moment. There's so many platforms for entertainment out there these days that the possibilities are endless.
So I could be on the internet then?
Streamed all over the world.
So I could dance on one of these streams and show off my talent?
Nothing can make me more happy, mate.
Well, I can't do an interview today, but I could do one in the morning.
Tomorrow would be fantastic, Jim. If you give us a call on the number below, we could come and pick you up if you like.
In a car?
Yeah, in a car.
I just had a bad experience, of course. I think I'll walk.
Well, if you have a look at the address on the card, just meet us there, mate.
Tomorrow then?
It's been a pleasure talking with you again, Jim. Well, looks like I just got us an interview with Mr. Jimmy Wilde in the morning. Did you get that on film?
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of? What do you mean, sort of?
Well, I'm not a professional cameraman, am I? It might be a touch out of focus.
Down the flaming crows, Brian. I'll leave you to do one simple thing and you screw it up.
Anyway, listen to what I got.
Struth. You can never rely on technology, Brian. At least we've got a real interview in the morning. You've got me to thank for that.
Listen, we're gonna have to get our act together tomorrow, yes? I mean, we turned up today without the first clue about how we were gonna approach him. And tomorrow when we start asking him about his past, well, God knows how he'll react.
Voodoo is involved, Brian. He told me so. Mambo means voodoo priestess.
Coincidence?
Well, we'll find out tomorrow, won't we? dead, Brian. Don't worry, mate. I've got a beaut of an idea.
This is a ridiculous idea. Your worst yet.
It's the only way we're going to get a flaming interview, mate.
Jimmy, are you there, Jimmy? Speak to us, Jimmy.
How the hell did you come into contact with someone like this?
Me and Maud, Brian, we got back a long way. She really helped me a lot after my dad died.
Oh no, tell me you didn't try and speak to your father through a medium.
Still do, mate. Thanks to Maud Goldcrest, I can get out for a pint with him every Sunday afternoon.
How long has he been gone, Nick?
About 45 minutes, Maud.
Ah, he may not have passed over fully yet. Jimmy! Speak to us, Jimmy!
Doesn't seem to be that great at this, does she?
Flaming Nora, Brian. Maud Goldcrest's one of the best mediums in the business. She had a legion of fans when she had her own television show in Hobart.
Hobart?
Tasmania, mate.
The Maud Goldcrest Paranormal Hour. I've ruled the Island of Inspiration for 3 years.
That's where we first met. I was second DP on a documentary about Tasmanian Aborigines when a friend of mine took me along to see one of Maud's shows. Blew me away with her abilities, mate.
Nick's dad is one of my spirit guides. He's a link, if you like, between our world and the world of the dead.
Yeah, I get the picture. Well, if you're so, big down under, Maud, then what are you doing back here?
It's none of your friggin' business. Jimmy. Are you there, Jimmy? Speak to us, my love.
Isn't it possible that every Jimmy that's ever lived could visit her now?
His second name's Wilde. That may help, Maud.
All information is good information. Jimmy!
Come on then. What is she doing back here?
She was involved in a high-profile police case. The disappearance of a 17-year-old boy, the son of a high-ranking government official. Maud included the incident on her weekly show, using her paranormal abilities to track the boy down. It was a massive success, as each week she got closer to the truth.
What, and she found it?
Well, sort of. He was in Maud's house the whole bloody time. They'd been having relations when they came up with this scam to boost Maud's ratings up.
Hang on, that was never proven. It was all bollocks.
The show was cancelled and she lost everything.
I'd moved to Tasmania for a simple life, and all I got was hardship and tears.
And that, Brian, is the story of Maud Goldcrest. Let that be a lesson to you, mate.
Shh. Yes. I've got something here. Jimmy? Is that you? Hello, I am Jimmy.
G'day, Jimmy.
Why do you meddle so?
Just trying to help you, mate. We want to know what's going on.
You can't help me now. I'm in a better place. I'm in Tunbridge Wells. I'm with old friends and me mum's here.
This is like watching the world's worst medium.
I'm with Freddie, the dog I had as a child.
Oh, she's just telling us stuff we could never know.
Shut up, Brian. Is there somebody else there with you, Jim?
Oh, I'm with me Uncle Alfred. He died when I was 4, you know. He was an alcoholic and oh, how he suffered, he did. But he's a beast now, he's a beast.
Oh, that's it. I have had enough. I can't do this with this arsehole gobshite pissing about.
Oh, very ladylike.
Did your parents bring you up to be a dickhead?
I don't know, Maud. You're the one that speaks to the dead. Why don't you ask them?
Oh, you're a funny bastard as well, aren't you?
Come on, guys. This isn't getting us anywhere.
We should be filming this for the documentary. It's hysterical.
We can't film it, Brian. Ever since Maud's show finished, she can't stand the sight of cameras. She said they bring about evil forces and bad karma into her life.
I think shagging a 17-year-old's the only thing that's brought bad karma to her life.
Hang on a minute. I never shagged Brendan. It wasn't like that. Alright, we fumbled about a bit and he tied me up once. What bad happened?
Can we continue, Maud?
Yeah, alright. Jimmy, are you there, Jimmy?
Well, he was there a minute ago.
That's it. I can't do this anymore. It's over. Get out and take that scrawny piece of shit with you.
Brian was just messing about. Sorry, Maud.
I can't work under these conditions. He's got a bad energy and a bad vibe.
Come on, let's go. We haven't got time for this.
Sorry, Maud.
Still want to grab a pint on Sunday, son?
Oh yeah, bonds of pops.
Tell me you're kidding me.
Oh,
crazy bitch. You're possessed.
She's got some left hook on her, that Maud Goldcrest, eh?
She should have been a flipping middleweight boxer.
More like a medium weight. You get it? Medium weight?
Oh, I get it, Nick. But I don't think you do. Do you have any idea what I've been through over the last couple of days? I mean, I kill a man with my car. Twice. The same man. Now, how many people do you reckon can lay claim to that one? But do you care? Oh no, because you're Nick Foster, laid-back Aussie, a man who thinks the whole world is one big joke created for his own amusement.
You're not the only one who's been through all this, mate. I've been just as much a part of this as you have. You think I've enjoyed everything that's gone on?
Yes, I do. I think you've lapped up every minute of it.
That's no laughing matter, Brian.
Anything's a laughing matter to you. And as for Maud, what the hell was all that about?
It was something different than just chasing our tails on this whole story. It was a good angle to go from. You know, I'm thinking out the box here. Maybe you should try.
Do what? I'm a reporter. I deal in facts. I don't just write a story about the first thing that comes into my head, like, oh, I don't know, voodoo.
Then why don't we just scrap this whole story and forget about it all? Let's end it right here. Right now.
Well, we can't now, can we?
Why? Give me one good reason why, Brian. Tell me why we can't just forget about Jimmy Wilde right here.
Because we brought his body home in the boot.
That's if he's still in there.
Of course he's still in there. I'm not that lucky. Some people never see a dead body in their entire lives, let alone one they've killed.
I've seen more than my fair share over the years, mate.
When have you ever seen dead bodies?
Oh, it was a while back. I don't like to talk about it.
Oh, go on. Tell me.
It's when I was in Nam. Don't laugh at me, Brian. You don't know what it was like over there.
You were too young to have been in Nam, you prick.
I didn't say the war, did I? I was on a cycling trip in '92 with a few mates. We were travelling through Ho Chi Minh City when this taxi hit a busload of retired pensioners on a cheap package trip from Dusseldorf. I can still see it now, the bodies, lying strewn across the road like rag dolls. You try and put the visions behind you, but you can never let go completely. You can never let something like that leave your memory. I wake some nights in a cold sweat. It's like I'm still there, you know? In the thick of it.
Okay, well, don't dwell on it, hey? Listen, I reckon we should phone Davenport.
No way, mate.
He'll know what to do.
This is our story, Brian. This is our chance to get to the bottom of this whole thing. Davenport's been trying for months to do that and failed.
Oh, get real, will you? I killed him. I ran him over. And then you convinced me to bundle him in here and bring him back home. To all intents and purposes, I'm a murderer.
No, you're not. You can't be convicted of murder if he was already dead when you killed him. I'm sure there's a law somewhere that states that you can't kill someone who was already dead.
Do you realise how ridiculous that sounds?
I realised as soon as I started saying it. Look, this is our big break, mate. Let's not blow it.
So what's our plan then?
Well, we take it in turns at watching Jimmy's body. The camera will document everything in night vision mode, so if anything strange happens, we'll get it on film.
We watch his body.
We watch his corpse.
In the dark.
In the dead of night.
And on our own.
Look, Brian, we can't both stay awake. I don't know about you, but I need at least a good 8 hours kip to keep my good looks natural and fresh.
No way, I am not having that. It's gonna be below zero in here overnight. I happen to react quite badly to the cold at this time of year. You know, chilled lanes and the like. I could end up with hypothermia. I'm not gonna freeze to death in a garage, no matter how good the story is. I don't want to die with only another corpse for company.
Some bloody reporter you are.
It's not that I'm scared or anything.
Well, there's nothing to be scared of, is there? You don't believe in the supernatural. You've stated that quite well. Look at it from my point of view, mate. I believe in all this crazy shit. Jimmy's corpse could jump out of that boot at any minute and tear my face off in a single strip. And that scares the heck out of me because I believe it could happen. But I'm willing to face up to my fears. But you don't believe in all that, do you? No. I'm the one making the sacrifice here, mate.
It's Tuesday the 10th, 1:35, and I'm here in my own garage, the body of Jimmy Wilde. I'm waiting. Well, I don't know what I'm waiting for, to be honest. Hopefully for this whole thing to be...
Struth, what happened? What happened, Brian?
Oh, it was horrible. Oh, God. I can still hear him breathing. He was right here. It was deathly.
He returned? You saw him rise?
Jimmy Wilde lives again, Nick. He lives again, I'm telling you. Oh, God.
Snap out of it, you pommy bastard.
Listen, I just don't want to go any further with this. I'm afraid. Okay?
We're all afraid, Brian. It's how we deal with the fear that makes us men.
I'm not a man anymore. Anyway, what happened to you? I thought you were dead.
Last thing I remember, I was watching Thumpin' Melons 2 on DVD. I must have fallen asleep. Next thing I know, I'm on the floor with a huge bump on me head. Bastard got me while I slept. How low is that?
Hang on a second. I'm out here freezing my bollocks off, watching for signs of movement from a corpse, while you're tucked up inside, cracking open a beer and watching porn.
Art, mate. Some people may see it as smut, but I see it as high art. Breasts are things of beauty, Brian.
I'm sorry, but even in this day and age, something bearing the title Thumping Melons cannot be classed as art.
Then you haven't seen it. Don't judge what you haven't seen, mate. Besides, I picked up a lot of my filmic skills from the erotic field of entertainment.
Porn.
Look, Brian, this isn't about what I was watching. It's about me getting smashed over the head. Where's the camera?
I don't know. It was gone when I woke up.
That was an expensive piece of friggin' equipment, Brian.
I know. Maybe our friend Mr. Wilde collected it on his way out.
That footage would be priceless. Shit, it wasn't even my camera.
Oh no, not works, please. Well, that settles it then, doesn't it? We can't go any further. We've got absolutely no evidence of what happened here tonight.
Oh, well, you know what my old dad always used to say?
Let me guess. Something completely unrelated to his chosen profession as a butcher.
Never waste the opportunity to get some good footage. Let's see what's going on this little beauty.
picture quality's none too hot, is it?
Oh, I'm really sorry, mate. There's only camera I could get my hands on at such short notice. If I'd had time to plan, I would have shot it on HD. You look a bit scared there, Brian.
How perceptive.
How long were you in the house for?
Not long, a couple of minutes. Had a look around for you, saw you lying on the floor, and then heard the garage door open, so I just ran back outside. Didn't know what else to do. Shit! That is Davenport!
But why? What the hell is this all about?
It's bigger than you could have ever imagined.
Mr. Metcalf!
My real name's Terence Landon. I work for an Interpol-funded company called CASC. Don't ask me what it means, even I don't know.
Interpol?
While you two were busy babysitting a corpse last night, this town witnessed an unprecedented series of killings. All the victims have one thing in common. You two.
But we haven't killed anyone.
No.
Well, except Jimmy. Twice.
Wilde doesn't count. Dr. Sam Mason, Brendan Hoffman, Julie Singleton, George Underwood and a notorious underworld boss were all found dead. A gravedigger, Billy Hamilton. He was also found with serious injuries.
God almighty. We've interviewed them all for the documentary.
And an ambulance driver, Heidi Brennan, ran into a police station hysterical.
Why have they all been targeted?
Davenport wants to erase every living memory of Jimmy Wilde.
You aren't making any sense here, mate.
And coming from him, that's saying something.
I'll explain everything, but I need your help to tie things up with Davenport.
There was always something that bugged me about Davenport. It was when we were at the station after the accident, the first time. But the man was that bloody strange, it kinda got lost in all the madness.
What?
Well, it was when I was being interviewed by him. He got a phone call, and it must have been after 9, to tell him that the ambulance with Jimmy Wilde's body in had been rammed off the road. But when we interviewed that ambulance girl, she said she was run off the road at rush hour. So, if he's the investigating officer, why doesn't he get told about it until after 9?
You got a phone call while I was being interviewed too, but that was after midnight.
We could have prevented all this, couldn't we?
Not very good really, are we?
What can we do now?
Need to have the footage you've shot. It's the only piece of evidence that even partially links Davenport to the murders and the intimidation.
But how is Davenport doing this, and why? What is he to Wilde?
Jimmy Wilde is Davenport's son.
Don't be ridiculous, mate. That's impossible. There's only about 10 years difference between them. Unless Davenport was one hell of a frisky kid.
He's involved in things you won't even comprehend. But I promise you one thing, you're about to land the scoop of your lives. Okay, be right out. The rest of your footage?
The tapes are at my house, mate.
Good, we'll grab them on the way.
Where to?
We're about to give Mr. Davenport the shock of his life. All there, Mr. Foster?
Everything I have.
Mr. Somerset was just telling me how long he's been a reporter.
Oh, really?
How long have you been a cameraman?
Look, I'd love to do the small talk, mate, but I really can't be bothered. Unless you're going to tell us the full story here.
I can understand why you're a little edgy.
Listen, Mr. Metcalf.
Landon.
I've seen all the movies, Mr. Landon. I know that when some bloke turns up at the end of a film and says he works for some strange, weird-named organisation and wants to stop the bad guy with the help of the two main characters, that's you and me, mate, he usually works for the bad guy.
You think I work for Davenport?
Yes, yes I do.
Do you?
Yeah. Think about it, Brian. If everything he said about last night and all the deaths is true, then we're the only ones left who know anything about Jimmy Wilde. So why didn't Davenport have the pair of us killed last night like all the others?
Because he knew he had the footage somewhere.
Exactly.
Oh God, I want to get out.
I promise you, I don't work for Davenport.
How can we trust you?
Look, we could have just taken the footage and killed you here.
The footage isn't in the bag, mate. How stupid do you think I am? While you were waiting out here for me, I sneaked over the back wall and left the footage with a mate in the next street. If anything happens to the pair of us, I swear, it goes straight to the police.
I am the police. I'm not some Tim Pot Station CID officer either.
Give me your wallet. Your wallet!
Terence Landon, cask identity card and key swipe. Photograph of Terence Landon, presumably with wife and 2 kids at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. Photograph of Terence Landon, standing outside a building with a huge illuminated cask sign on the outside of it.
That doesn't mean anything, mate. How easy is it to mock something like that up with a digital camera and a copy of Photoshop?
They look pretty real, Nick.
Because they are real.
I don't like you, Mr. Landon. I always make a point of never trusting people I don't like.
So what do we do now?
Hey.
Where are you going?
Davenport's house. We're going to give this story the perfect ending.
Talk some sense into him, Mr. Somerset. Davenport's an evil man. He won't last a second.
No, he's right. We've come this far. We don't need your help.
You're making a big mistake, Brian.
I don't even know where Davenport lives, mate.
Tit. He's taken annual leave. For the first time in years, apparently.
They wouldn't give you his address, would they?
Oh, what do you reckon?
So what now?
I don't know. You're the one running with the ball. You seem to have taken over the entire investigation.
You're still harping on about that Metcalf thing, are you?
Yes. I think he could have helped us. I genuinely thought he was telling the truth.
Struth. No wonder you haven't made it to the top as a reporter, Brian. You have no intuition. You only believe what you see. Maybe once in your life you could just go with your instinct.
What are you talking about? That was my instinct.
Hi guys.
I'm Jimmy Wilde.
I will never forget your face as long as I live. And that might not be long the way this is playing out.
Well, my dad wants to see you.
Davenport?
Sort of.
Oh, I bet he does. Where is he?
Well, he's actually at your house.
What other option do we have? At least there's 2 of us. Well, 1.5. And he's no threat.
A dancer magazine, eh? You know, it's not very nice to lie to people.
See what I mean?
What, he's in the garage? When you said he was at the house, I thought you meant parked up outside. Oh, I don't like this, Nick. It could be a bloody torture chamber in there.
Come on, Brian, where's your sense of adventure?
I take it the crutches weren't convincing enough then.
Oh, now this is just getting ridiculous.
I'm not even going to pretend I know what's going on here, but you've made fools out of us, Davenport. You've used us to get at people who know your dirty little secret. But now you're scared, aren't you? Eh? Because Interpol and, Cask, Interpol and Cask are on your trail.
There is no Cask.
See? I told you, mate. Intuition.
Well, Mr. Metcalf has been watching you for us.
I should introduce myself. My name is Helmut Schwankheimer. I am Jimmy's father.
What the hell's wrong with your voice, mate?
Please, Come inside.
What did you say your name was again? You sound like a robot, mate.
Schwankheimer.
I think he said.
Dr. Helmut Schwankheimer. To be exact.
Crikey! Twins!
And not quite. Close. But there's a story behind it. It's a story like you've never heard before.
I should tell them. It's my story.
I'll tell it. Be a bit easier.
I can't help the way I speak.
You brought that on yourself, Doc. So button it.
Hey, don't you talk to my dad like that.
Shut it, Jimmy. It's your fault we're in this mess. Remember.
Leave Jimmy out of this, Davenport. None of it is his fault.
Can we just leave the domestic for now and just get on with it, please?
You guys ever heard of Joseph Mengele?
Yeah. Hitler's chief medical officer in Auschwitz. Responsible for numerous unspeakable crimes.
I'm glad you answered that. I thought he was part of the Bayern Munich 76 European Cup winning side.
Wait a minute. You're not saying this guy is Joseph Mengele, are you?
No.
Dr. Mengele was a madman.
No offence, mate, but you're not exactly sounding psychologically stable yourself.
Helmut was a young doctor. Mengele had high hopes for him.
When?
1944. He was 20.
But that's impossible. That would make him
84.
Yeah!
I think I look pretty good on it.
What is this all about? Cloning?
That's exactly it, Brian. See, Helmut here was having great success with the study of genetic cloning.
Reproductive cloning. I was making incredible advances in the field of recombinant DNA technology, decades before the world was ready.
Why would you be doing that work during the war?
Because Hitler wanted an army of supermen. All based upon a perfect specimen, primed, ready to kill at the snap of his fingers. Men with no history. Men who lived only to kill.
But Hitler was a genocidal psychopath. If you helped him, that makes you just as bad.
For your information, I wanted nothing to do with his plans and refused to continue my work.
In secret from the SS, he destroyed all his paperwork. Then he fled from Germany to South America. Under the name Patrick Wilde, he had to start his work again. This time, to help people. I had them. Nice try, Doc.
I was not willing to use my findings for the creation of a modern evil.
My father met my mum in Peru. She was holidaying with her family and it was love at first sight. We got married soon after.
She was a vision of beauty. A fantastic woman who put my whole life into perspective.
Yeah, it was the 60s. Time of peace and love.
And hippies.
My wife and I lived a happy life until I heard a lot of ex-Nazis were heading for South America. I didn't want to be tarred with the brush of the Third Reich, so we decided to relocate.
We moved to England. Tunbridge Wells.
Wasn't that taking a chance?
Tunbridge Wells is not that bad.
I meant moving to Britain.
So while the Nazi hunters were combing their way through the Americas, Helmut decided to move to England to be his best bet. I mean, come on. You'd think to look for him there.
In 1971, my wife became pregnant. It was the happiest time of my life. Unfortunately, it was not to last.
My mum died when she was giving birth to me. It was terribly difficult for my father. But I can't really remember it. I mean, I was only little.
My wife was my rock. She helped me in every way. She eased me into the British way. It just affected me badly. I did some things now I regret.
Prostitutes?
Sometimes, yes.
You see, Helmut had always had problems with his accent. Feared the British would suss him out eventually. Worried that the authorities would link him to the Nazi regime. Come and take away his child. Not to mention his freedom.
My father took the brave measure of slitting his own throat and vocal cords. He made it look like he obtained the injuries in a car accident.
I then became a recluse and submerged myself into the work I'd started all those years ago.
So to lose your accent, you sacrifice the power of speech.
You cut your own vocal cords. Stone the flaming crows, mate. Don't you think that was a little bit drastic?
It was about survival. Survival makes you do desperate things.
Oh, would anyone like a cup of tea?
Oh yeah, that'd be beaut, mate. I'd love a cup of tea.
No, you're alright, thanks. Excuse me, this is my house.
I used bacterial plasmids to generate multiple copies of the same gene. Plasmids are self-replicating extrachromosomal circular DNA molecules, distinct from the normal bacterial genome.
You got any biscuits, mate?
I think I saw some Jaffa cakes in the cupboard.
For God's sake, the man is trying to explain. And keep your fingers off my Jaffas.
Combined with the doctor's own new high-speed regenerating formula, a clone can be aged very quickly from an embryo to help the donor get the perfect organ at just the right time.
Davenport was my first attempt at the high-speed regenerating formula. I believe the process took 3 weeks from embryo to what you see now.
That's incredible. There's still some ethical arguments to be had.
Yeah.
Davenport and myself are identical in every way. Believe me, if we were dressed in the same clothes, you would not be able to tell us apart.
So why haven't you aged, Dr. Schwenkheimer? As you said yourself, you look good for 84.
My whole work is about finding new ways to help people survive the test of time. I have given my every living breath to the study of human life. Through my work, I stumbled on a serum that keeps the outer body looking as good as the day you took it. I may look 40 on the outside, but inside, I am an old man.
Vanity, eh? You could make $1 billion in the cosmetics industry.
In 1998, Jimmy died for the very first time. A rare heart defect. He was 27.
It was like my own heart had been ripped out. Just before his death, he was very ill. I decided to clone him. In secret, of course.
But the problem soon became clear. The heart defect that Jimmy had was with him from birth.
What? Jimmy was born to die. You could put all the time and effort into new medical procedures, but you can't change your fate.
Jimmy's always getting himself into trouble. He doesn't know why. But trouble will be the death of him.
So, you just kept cloning it, even after death, over and over again?
He is my only son.
Technically he's not, is he? He's just a carbon copy like Davenport is of you. Why not just let him rest in peace?
It is worth it every time to keep him with me.
Don't you think that's rather selfish, Doctor?
You would do the same thing if you were in my position.
But you're playing God.
I am his God. I created him. He's part of me.
And all those people. You killed them just because they knew Jimmy. Just because they'd had the misfortune to cross his path in life. All this for the greater good spiels. Bollocks, you soon sell your principles down the river to suit your own twisted ends.
What people? What people, Davenport?
This has been going on too long. We couldn't go on like we were. We needed a clean slate. Do you know what it's like trying to be some kind of omnipresent policeman? Living his whole life just to clean up his mess.
What have you done?
Your son is ruining everything we try to create. I understand you love your son and you want him to be with you. But he's putting all our work in danger.
Our work? How long had this been our work?
It's alright for you. But every time you clone Jimmy, the closer we were to being caught.
Your other half has killed or intimidated everybody who ever got close to Jimmy. Even people who only happened across him because of their work.
And he used us to help him.
No, we didn't actually help them, did we?
We got them all together. They all trusted us. It wasn't like they knew we were herding them to their deaths like cattle.
Shut up, Nick.
Who have you killed, Davenport? Everyone you ever spent time with, Jimmy. But even so, Ponte. They could have told the world what we've done.
So my friends, Dr. Mason, Julie.
Mason was corrupt. You've never had any friends. Well, you're never around long enough to make any.
God, Nick!
It's just my arm, mate. I'll live. Oh, rack off, you crazy pop! Oh, crikey.
Well, that was unexpected.
All those people? I never wanted anyone to get hurt. I only wanted my son here with me.
A parent will do anything for their child. Now, I understand that. But I'll never agree with the ethical issues, Doctor. Human cloning just makes all life, well, too expendable.
I never said it was ethical. It's purely a selfish act on my part. I would never dream of giving what I know to the masses. Such as why you can't tell your story.
Oh no. The world needs to know what you've done, what you've created, good or bad.
Think about it. You said it yourself. What I have done will change the world as we know it. Remember how one sheep made so much fuss?
I don't know what to do.
The world hasn't changed that much in 60 years. There are still evil men out there who are trying to control others and dominate the world. I'm not sure about you two, but I'm not going to let that happen for as long as I live.
No offence, Jim, but knowing your luck, that could only be a matter of hours.
So the clone then? It keeps all the memories of the original, is that right?
Like moving house with all your furniture. Everything the clone has known and felt is taken to the next clone.
Ah, so the clone is like a home?
And another thing, how do you always know where Jimmy is?
He's electronically tagged. It's quite simple.
I think all kids should be tagged.
One more thing, Jim. Who's Frank?
What?
Frank. Just before you died, when we hit you with the car, you said the name Frank to me.
After we hit you with the car the first time, mate.
No, I was trying to say Schrankheimer.
Ah, right. So Frank is Schwank.
Give me a break, I was dying after all.
How is it?
Sometimes you have to take a bullet for a story, Brian. It's all part of the job.
You don't think we'll ever be linked to any of those murders, do you? I feel so guilty.
Not our fault, mate. We were nearly victims ourselves of either murder or a fit-up. And I've got a feeling that Devonport's suicide note will make sure the right bloke gets the blame.
I suppose it's kinda handy that clones even have identical handwriting, eh? Maybe some stories are just never meant to be told.
I think we were right not to complete it.
Put it this way, Nick. I feel like I've sold out as a reporter and a human being.
Don't take it so seriously, Brian. Think of what we've done. What we've achieved.
What have we achieved?
We uncovered one of the greatest stories of modern times, but we had the balls not to tell it. That's not selling out, mate. That's just sort of like, well, I don't know, kind of like, well, you know, really good.
Had the makings of a great speech then, you just kinda lost it a tad towards the end.
Did you have a title for the documentary?
I was thinking something along the lines of Jimmy Wilde, Born to Die.
Yeah, right. Bit Channel 5 afternoon movie, mate.
You?
I was thinking something along the lines of Tears of a Clone. You like?
No, it's really bad.
We'd probably get sued by Smokey Robinson anyway.
No, I know, look.
You fancy a brew, mate?
Why not?
2 cups of tea, fellas. Quick as you like.
If you think we're waiting on you two hand and foot, you've got another thing coming.
You're damn right.
I feel guilty about those two as well.
Why? We didn't ask for them. A gift from the good doctor. We couldn't exactly send them back.
You know, if Schwankheimer had shot Davenport in the foot, would that technically have meant he shot himself in the foot?
Stuff me old boots, mate. Sure hope your clown hasn't got your terrible laugh and sense of humour.
Well, I don't know. It depends whether yours is a smutty git with a dodgy Aussie accent.
Have you know, mate, that this accent's charmed many a fine lady into bed?
Yeah, right.
Oh, God, I'm crying, mate.
I reckon it's the clones we've got to be worried about.
Tears of a clone!
Yes, Mr. Metcalf, the weather out here in Brazil is quite marvellous, if a little bit too hot for my liking. You should come out and pay me a visit. But do me a favour. Don't bring that bloody crippled clone of mine. He'll only want to bring his son. And you know how much I hate Jimmy.